Okay, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. And everyone who joins us, hopefully we will catch them and put them on mute. So I am Dawn Davis, and with me is Nicole Hammond from ServPro and Angie Clayson with Angie Clayson Photography. And I am with Clegg Auto. So let's get started. First of all, we wanted to talk to you about why we decided to do this. So when everything started happening and things started snowballing and businesses were closing their doors, both permanently and temporarily, people went silent in marketing when it came to marketing and when it came to social media. And that is something that I know I personally, and I believe Angie and Nicole started doing the same thing, was reaching out to other businesses saying, what are you doing? You can't go silent. Now is not the time to go silent. I know everyone's stressing and panicking and trying to find out all the information on things they need to do to survive, but now is not the time to go silent. Now is the time to be more present, even more present than ever before, so that when it's time to reopen your doors and it's time for everything to start opening up, people have something to come to. You're already top of mind. You've already been present throughout this whole thing. And to them, you're still there. Even if you had to close your doors, you're still there. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is us. We have Angie, who is the CEO of Angie Clayson Photography. Myself, I am the CMO of Clegg Auto, and Nicole with ServPro of Provo. And you will hear more about us later. So these are the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about tips and tricks on things you should be doing now, and also things you should not be doing because of some regulations that Facebook and Google has rolled out. So why market now if you're non-essential? And the answer to this question, you're going to hear a lot throughout the entire presentation from all three of us, because it is so critical right now to be even more present than you ever were before. So Instagram followers, where are they? This is a topic that Nicole is going to cover. And all about you, number 3, all about you. This is going to be Angie. And then Facebook and Google changes, I'm going to cover that. And then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So any questions that you have, you guys feel free to put them in the chat, because that way they are there when it's time when we get to the Q&A section, and we'll just scroll through them and answer all those questions for you in the time permitted. So let's go ahead and get going. Nicole.
Okay, so am I off mute? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so I am Nicole, and I am on the marketing team at ServPro of Provo and North Utah County. Today I'm going to share some ways to gain followers on your social media and how to engage with your followers once you have them. I've been on the board of directors for the Spanish Fork Chamber for a little over 2 years, and yeah, I love doing social media and the social media for the chamber. And so let's move on. And okay, there we go. We're working out some kinks on like how to actually move the mouse so I get the control. So there we go. Did it work? Maybe not. Oh, there we go. Okay. So how to extend your Instagram reach. Don't rely on people to come to you. You need to find potential customers on Instagram. And there's many ways to do this, but the way we're going to talk about today is using hashtags to find potential customers. So when you look up a hashtag, so we're going to look up a hashtag for the area that you want to market. And since we're a part of the Spanish Fork Chamber of Commerce, we're just going to do Spanish Fork. So you go to the search on Instagram, type in Spanish Fork, move it over to tags where I circled it. And you can see all of those potential things you can look into. So of course we're going to look into Spanish Fork, but you can also, depending on your market, look into, Spanish Fork hair, Spanish Fork, just kind of whatever you're selling. You can look up hashtags on what you sell or what you do for your business. So we're going to go, oh, maybe, there we go. Sorry. Okay. Maybe if my mouse will work. Technical difficulties. Your remote is controlled, or there we go. Okay, so look up hashtags for specific things you sell or offer. I already said that. Let's go here. Okay, so you can choose to follow the Spanish Fork hashtag. And so anytime anyone uses that hashtag, it's going to pop up in your feed. So even somebody you didn't find before, if they use that hashtag, oh, they're in Spanish Fork, you can see, you know, do they live here? Were they just visiting? You know, and kind of check out if that's somebody you would like to follow or if it's a business or what you like to do. But you could definitely follow a specific hashtag. So once you click on that hashtag, so we clicked on the Spanish Fork hashtag at the very top, and then you want to click on recent to see the most recent posts under this hashtag. It starts it off on the top, and those are the like top rated ones, but they're not necessarily what you want. The reason why I have you go to recent is because that's just an easy way to find people that actually use their accounts and updated accounts. So let's see, I'm gonna switch my notes. Oh, there we go. So it just makes you easier to find people that actually use their Instagrams, because if you go to the top ones, look up those, they could be 5 years old and not even on Instagram anymore. So you could check those out. All of those would be public accounts, so they're not private. So you can go ahead and look into them, follow them, you know, whatever you would like to do. And let's see, there we go. Maybe I'm trying to move my slide over. We'll see if it works. There we go. Okay, so from there you can choose to follow. You can either follow their account, like their picture, comment, whatever you would like to do. But then that's kind of a good way to market in specific areas. So Spanish Fork, Provo, Orem, American Fork, Lehigh, however you want to do that. So that's kind of a way to find followers, one of the ways that I like to use. So if you have any questions about that, put it in the chat and we can definitely talk about that after. So once you get those followers, or once you find people, it doesn't necessarily mean they're following you back quite yet, but you need to engage with them. So once you are on your Instagram or Facebook, once you make a post, just don't post and then leave. You need to make your post and then stay on your social media and engage with other people. So of course, an easy way to engage is to like their comment, but you want to do more than just like scroll and double tap, scroll, double tap. You want to actually like their comment, you know, or like their post, comment if it's something that, you know, asks for a comment, or even if it doesn't ask for a comment, just leave a quick comment or an emoji or just something so that they know that you're there. And this is a good reminder, when you do a post and you ask for comments, or if somebody comments on your posts, make sure you respond to those posts, because people are trying to engage with you. They took the time to engage with your post, so make sure you take the time to respond to their post. Oh yeah, Dawn, you had a story about this one, about how important it is to respond to people's posts.
I do have a story about this one. So there is a local business who I'm not going to name, because I'm hoping they're watching and that they're catching on to these tips. But so they have great pictures that they post in their Instagram, and they're very engaging, and they get you to answer questions. Like, you want to answer what it says. But in the content that they actually type for the picture, they're typing, "Hey, this is who we are. We're awesome. Call us," on every single post. That is the wrong thing to do. Don't do that. And then on top of that, so if you would reply to the picture, they wouldn't reply back. There was no comments back. So that's another thing they were doing wrong. So that's two things they are doing wrong. And then a third thing is, sometimes when you answer the picture, instead of replying to the same content they put with each picture, they actually delete the comments. But those deleted comments were answering the questions in the post, in the picture. So that's something to be aware of. You don't want to get rid of the engagement, and you want to engage, and you want to get as many people talking as you can. So make sure your content is relevant to your picture and that you're engaged in what's happening when you post it. So that's some feedback I had. It looks like Angie has a comment too.
To say too, why engagement is so important is because there's an algorithm to social media. So if you're not engaging, it doesn't think that you're really looking at stuff and watching stuff. But when you're engaging and people are engaging with you, it moves your stuff up to the top. So you always want to be engaging and active on there. That was just, sorry, it was just spewing out.
No, that's good. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so pretty much go and comment on other people's posts. And also a good way to engage in other people's feeds are you can share their posts if they're doing a contest. You can share it on your stories. If you're going out to eat and it's at a restaurant, you can tag them or just kind of engage them in your social media as well, tagging them in different things that you do. And Instagram, we're going to talk about stories. So stories are amazing. We're gonna dive into that a little bit, but participate in other people's stories. So watch their stories, because even if they don't follow you, they'll look and see, oh, the chamber or whoever saw our stories, and they'll kind of recognize who's watching their stories. There's also simple emojis you can give to their stories, and it shows up in their messages. You can engage if they do a poll or some kind of quiz or some kind of just fun activity or something on their stories. Engage in those stories. It just lets people know that you're actually watching them and not just double clicking on all of their posts. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, just put them in the chat and we'll answer them later. I'm sure yeah. But if you have any questions, like SERPRO, I'm here to help. Feel free to message me on Facebook or Instagram. And then if you have any questions about what the Spanish Fork Chamber can do for you, I do the social media for the Spanish Fork Chamber. So go ahead and message me on there and we can answer any questions for you. So thank you for watching, and on to Angie.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's not letting me control the screen. Okay, there we go. All right. Why your business needs to start using Instagram stories. And I'll apologize right now. I get really excited about it. I'm going to try to not be so quick and flood your brains, but we'll get started. I cannot move to the next slide. I don't know what's going on. Okay. I'm Angie Clayson. I own Angie Clayson Photography. I'm a photographer. I own a studio here in Spanish Fork. I also have a social media business that I run. It's Angie Out Loud. The point is to inspire women to go after what they want to do and to start their businesses. And I business coach on there as well. You can find me there. A little bit about who I am. Okay, thanks. Why you should be using Instagram stories. Okay. Number one reason is this is a more personal way to connect with your audience. Okay. 500 million daily users are viewing Instagram stories every day. And this number is climbing so rapidly. That was just a stat for 2019, but it's growing every day. Okay, so why you want to use stories is because this is where people get to know you. People want to buy from a person that they know. And even if they don't personally know you, they think they know you through social media. Stories help grow your brand. They brand you. They help connect you to your clients in a more personal way, and it keeps you on the top of your clients' minds. People want to relate and connect to you through stories. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Audience. I started out on Snapchat years ago, and I had a successful stint with Snapchat for my high school senior clientele. But that was it, because Snapchat is geared towards teenagers. It's like 24 and unders who use a Snapchat. And then Facebook, I have a good run with Facebook, because Facebook reaches a pretty broad audience. It's usually 35 and older. My teenagers and adult child, they tell me it's for old people. so, but it's okay. It still works for me. And I still use Facebook. I use Facebook stories too, but Instagram has a bigger reach. You can see here, 13 to 17-year-olds, 72% of them have Instagram. I am targeting high school seniors, so that works for me. I also am targeting brides. So 18 to 29 is a good target market for me. And then 30 to 64, I'm targeting their parents and family sessions. So that works for me. I love this platform because, it has everyone from teenagers, like my 16-year-old son, to my grandma in her 80s. She has an Instagram account. So you have a huge reach on this platform. So I love Instagram for that. Okay. Next slide. Oh, I just threw this in here. This is from Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're in business, first and foremost, you have to be nice and you have to show your customers that you care. And you can do that through stories. Okay. All right, so how do you use the stories to build your business? Let's dive into that. So Gary Vee, his third book he wrote is called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And what that means is you give some more, and then you give one more time, and then you can hit them with the sell or an offer or whatever it is. So you need to be giving. You can go to the next slide. Remember Saturday morning cartoons? I'm gonna tell you how this relates. So Gary illustrates this. We older people remember getting up at 7 a.m. on Saturday to watch our favorite cartoons. We didn't have instant access like our kids do now, but it was free. It's totally free. They're just giving all this content. It's free. We loved it. It was enjoyable. They're just giving. But then they right hook us when they have a doll come out or a movie come out or something come out. That's where they get the sell. So you give, and then you do the sell. Okay, so back to how to make stories work for your business. Okay, let me kind of tell you a little difference between posting and stories. So Nicole talked about posts, this is when you go to your Instagram account, these are your pictures, and these should really be cohesive to your brand, your style. There should be lots of consistency. This should be, really pretty, something to look at. They live forever. I mean, you can delete them, but intentionally, they live forever. And this is your digital business card. I hardly ever get asked for a business card anymore. People just want to follow me on my Instagram. So keep that in mind, that this is your digital business card. So this is where you showcase what you do, your products, whatever it is. Now, stories, they only live for 24 hours. So, they don't have to be pretty and cohesive to your brand. They can be, but they don't have to be. And this is where you can really connect with people. They can connect with you. They can connect with your staff, with whatever's going on behind your business. This is where you can keep it real. These don't have to be perfect because they die in 24 hours. So this is where you want people to relate to who you are. Stories drive interactions from your followers. I'm going to tell you more about that in a little bit. Okay. All right. So now you're asking, okay, what kind of things do I do in stories? I know this is hard for some people. So this is where you get personal. Okay, you can showcase you. Who's behind the business? Real life. They want to connect with real life. It doesn't all have to be business related. You can do behind the scenes, like I'll shoot a quick picture of me editing or me shooting or whatever, me at a conference, so they can see what really goes on behind the scenes. People like that. Value, they like to learn things. And it can be business related or not business related. I posted on my Instagram that I made bread the other day and I had 7 direct messages. That's a lot of interaction from just something not even related to what I do. You can do some promoting here, and I do. And I like to post any specials or deals that I have going on. It's a great place to do it on your story. Okay, the ideas are endless. I was just giving you some ideas to show because people, they want to relate to you. And keep it real. These are flawed. These don't have to be perfect. People like to know who you are behind everything else. Okay, skip to the next one. I wanted to touch on highlights real quick because I don't think everyone knows what highlights are. I'm not going to go into super depth, but this is a screenshot of my Instagram account. And you can see those pink dots. So these are highlights. And this is when you post a story that you don't want to die in 24 hours. And then there's an option, you can swipe up and it will say, save it as a highlight, and you can put it on your highlight and it will stay there. I have different categories like seniors, brides. Behind the scenes is an important one because I want people to see what it's like to work with me and see my personality, and that, you know, I'm fun and that they'll have a good time and it's going to be all good. So that's where you can put stories that you don't want to die. You can just direct them to there. Okay. Next one. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can use hashtags and geotags on stories. And I have gotten new followers because of hashtags and geotags. So, you know, like I would do a photo and I could do Utah photographer or Utah or whatever. And then someone who's interested in that or following that hashtag, it will pop up on their story. You know, a perfect example, I was just at a photography conference, and I would do WPPI as a hashtag. That's what the conference is called. And everyone down there wants to see everyone that's there and see what photographers are there. And they would click that, and I got lots of followers and interaction from that. Geotags. So geotags are your location. And you actually don't have to be at that location to use a geotag. So if I shoot a session in Southern California, but you know, it's 2 weeks later and I'm editing it and I post it in my stories, I can still geotag it, Oceanside, California. People who are in Oceanside and following those tags, it's going to pop up in their story. So use those in your stories as well. It's important. Collaborating with others. So you can do this in lots of ways. You can do it without permission. I'll share a story. Like, I love to shop at my sister's closet, and I talk about it all the time. And I will tag them if I have an outfit on that I'm showing off in my story. Well, then in turn, they want their viewers to know that I'm shopping there. So they share it on their story because I've tagged them. You tag with, you know, the @ symbol and their account name. And so then that puts me in front of their audience. So you can collaborate that way. You can collaborate in person with someone. You want to do a story with them, get with them, do the story with them. I mean, there's lots of ways to collaborate with others on stories. Okay, next slide. This is quick and easy. Stay consistent. There are algorithms with all social media. And if you go weeks without posting, then you're not going to be at the forefront of your people's feeds and their stories. So stay consistent, post often. Okay, next. I'm going to share with you how it's helped my business and give you a little insight into that. Okay, so I get a lot of engagement from stories, a lot more than I do from posts. Both are important. You need to do both. But stories, that's where it's at if you want some good engagement. People are getting to know me. I'm just going to tell you my experience with, you know, I've listed here Diet Coke, big earrings. Okay, I talk about my Diet Coke addiction all the time on my stories. People know I love Diet Coke. They bring me a Diet Coke to our session. I don't even know these people, but they have watched me and they know. They'll send me gift cards to my favorite drink places because I always talk about fizz and sipping, and just to thank me, you know, so they know. Big earrings. I always have big earrings on, and everyone knows it. I talk about them, and this seems so dumb, but you're gonna understand here in just a second why I'm telling you this. I have had people that follow me either send me a picture with some big earrings and say, hey, I thought of you, or they've actually bought me earrings. And I don't do this to get gifts. There's a point to all this. I always have bright lipstick on, always. When I go out, when I'm online, whatever. And I talk about my favorite brands, so people see that. And they'll send me a picture of themselves and be like, I'm channeling my inner Angie Clayson. Okay, so this goes on. This is the same with salsa. This is the same with where I shop. People will, out of the blue, I get messages all the time. Angie, go to this restaurant, try the chips and salsa here. Okay, so why do I do this? This is like genius marketing. Because every time they see these products, guess who they're thinking about? They're thinking about me. Every time they see a Diet Coke, they're like, oh yeah, that Angie Clayson, she's so addicted to Diet Coke, or bigger, whatever it is. This is branding me and putting me at the forefront of the minds of my followers. So your personal stuff is super important, and they want to know that about you. And this is how they relate to you. This is how they connect with you, because some of these things might be their favorite things too. This connection is so important, and it drives so much comments and instant messages, and just, anyway, it's really, really important. I built trust with my following by showing who I am and being consistent about it. I also do some selective marketing with this, and I'm just going to tell you real quick that, so my other account, once in a while I'll talk about, I have this skincare that I love and I sell, and I will do a story about it. And if someone watches it all the way through and I know that they're interested in it, that's someone that I'm going to reach out to. So you can see through your stories who is really interested in you, because they're watching every single slide, every story. Okay, swap that. All right, we love stats. Stories have stats. If you have a business profile, you can see who's viewing your stories. You can see who's seeing them consistently. You can see, you don't see who, but you can see how many have skipped to your next slide, so they're not super interested. Or you can see how many people have exited your story because they're really not interested. And this will help you gauge what people like, you know, what they're interested in. So it's really, really helpful to be looking at your stats and see what people like on your stories. Okay. All right, tips on how to do these. I know that this is a really scary thing for some people to get in front of the camera, and some people feel like it's, I don't know, some stigma with it, that you're talking about yourself or whatever. You know, don't, just do it. Don't care about anybody else. You know, before we had stories, we did live videos on social media, Facebook particularly. And I used to be really scared to do it. And what helped me was doing it with a friend. So I owned a studio before with Ashley Hansen, and we would do the lives together. So grab a friend, grab a coworker, do it with someone. It helps, I promise. Just keep doing it. It gets easier. You know, remind yourself these don't have to be perfect. These die in 24 hours. Just get out of your head about what people think. Just do it. They do have filters. So if you want to do a funny filter and make it more bearable, then go ahead and do that. But the important part is just to do it. This is one of the best platforms. It's right at our fingertips. You need to be using stories. Okay, I got a challenge for everyone. I want you to connect with us. So if you want to go follow one of my accounts right here, Angie Clayson Photo or Angie Out Loud, and follow the Spanish Fork Chamber. And then I want you to write down 5 story ideas right now. 5 story ideas that you could do in the next couple of weeks. I just gave you some ideas, everyday life stuff, write them down. Okay, the next challenge is today, I want you to post a story by midnight tonight, and you can use me as an excuse. You can say, you know what, I watched this webinar and I was challenged to do this. So that, you know, it kind of eases in and makes it feel more comfortable. Like, I was challenged to do this. I'm your excuse. So do a story today on your business page. If you want to tag Spanish Fork Chamber and me so we know you did it, I'm going to give away a free headshot session to someone who does it. So we'll have a drawing. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there because I really want you to do it. I want to help other businesses. Go to the next page, Dawn. I get super excited about social media. I'm always happy to help. You're welcome to message me. And I want to help everyone succeed. I want you to be successful too. So use stories. It's a great way to help your business. You can find my contact information right there. And thanks for joining me. Turn it over to you.
Okay, hopefully the background noise is not too loud. Can you guys hear me over it? Hopefully, okay. Yes. All right, so I am Dawn Davis. I introduced myself earlier, but I am very passionate about helping other businesses succeed. That's why I started reaching out to businesses who I saw were temporarily closing their doors, and they went silent. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, this isn't enough. We need there needs to be a broader reach than just reaching out individually. And so that's why we did this webinar. So this is a sign that we are all seeing all the time, and we're hearing about it. We're seeing it post. Oh, and it looks like Angie still has the control. So I want to point out a business. I actually had 3 on here, but the other 2 actually went silent. So it's only Cookie Crave. So I want to point out Cookie Crave. They're local here in Spanish Fork. and something that they are doing right. So earlier we talked about something that another business was not doing correct. They were actually driving traffic and engagement away from them, but these guys are driving it to them. So they've temporarily closed their doors, as you can see on the picture. But what they did is they continued on with their stories. And in their stories, they were saying, hey, this is what we're working on. Hey, this is a new recipe. Hey, this is what we're doing. Hey, are you guys interested in this? And they would do polls and have people vote on it. And they actually were building up the excitement so that when they open their doors, people are going to be there because people are wanting it. So for Easter, they made these sugar cookie kits that were paintable with edible food coloring, and they posted on there, hey, is anyone interested in this? Doors are still closed, but we'll do this for you. And they sold out for both days because they were so consistent. What Angie and both Nicole were talking about, they were consistently posting in their stories, and they were keeping that engagement, and they were making people want what they had. So even if you close your doors, keep posting, be more relevant, be more present, and you can build that up as well. So now we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about Facebook, because Facebook, we spoke about algorithms earlier, and Facebook, I don't know if you guys realize this, but Facebook changes, and same with Google. Google does it even more. They change their algorithms more than 16 times a day. So, and I think that could even be like double or triple that. It's a ridiculous amount that they change it daily. Now, what we hear about mostly is the big changes. So one of the big changes that has happened, and this is due to the coronavirus, and this will actually, oh, too far. And this will actually continue after the pandemic. Everything is slowed down, things are reopening, and things are in place. This won't go away, and this is with Facebook. And this is the use of certain hashtags. Certain hashtags right now with Facebook and Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram, have been banned. They're completely banned. And what this means with them being banned, I'll tell you what they are in just a second. But with them banned, that means if you use these hashtags, you do run the risk of being shut down. But what they're doing instead of being shut down is they are actually taking your visibility level from here to the bottom. And the reason they're doing this is because it's their way of controlling information. So some of the hashtags that are banned right now, because they're trying to control the information that's going out to the public, anything related to coronavirus, anything related to quarantine, so those two words, if it has, any version of COVID-19, coronavirus, quarantine, don't use any of them, because they have all been banned because they're trying to control the information that's going out to the public. So hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and send me some messages or post them in the chat, and we can talk about it. But that's what Facebook is doing, and that will not be lifted. They did the same thing in 2018 when there was a problem with certain medications. You to this day, you still cannot use those hashtags, because if you do, your visibility goes from here to 0. So that's what happens when you use banned hashtags. So you don't want to use them. Anything that's a lot of information is going out to the public and they're trying to post that information, they're going to ban those hashtags so they can control it. So with Facebook and Instagram, this is important to know the rules, because if you don't know the rules about sharing posts and tagging your friends, Facebook, because you agreed to their rules, Facebook can shut down your business account and they will not notify you. They will just shut it down. And this is a topic that actually businesses come to me and ask me questions about a lot, because they see people doing it all the time. So even though this is one of those things that even though you see people doing this all the time, doesn't make it okay. And they're the ones who are gambling. They're gambling whether or not their Facebook or Instagram page will be shut down. And that is asking people to share posts. You cannot ask for shares, and you cannot ask people to tag anyone. So unless you're like doing a co-branded type of giveaway or something like that, you can ask them to tag to go like that page, but you cannot ask them to tag their friends. You cannot ask them to share it. And the reason for that is they're saying it takes the person away from the post and onto something else. That's the reason for it. But either way, if you do those two things, they can close your account without notifying you. So there are ways around it though. You can say, hey, tell your friends. And that's what I do. I say, tell your friends. I don't say tag, I say tell. So just be creative with the words you use and don't ask for those two things. So next, Google. We're going to move on to Google. So if you go to your Google business page, hopefully all of you have access, hopefully, to your Google page. This is what you see right now. And I've actually updated this because the messages have been changing, but this is what's up there today. But last week, so when it comes to Google reviews, one thing that they did when they did the stay-at-home order is Google became very short-handed. And so when it came to Google reviews, they turned off the ability to reply to any reviews on your business page. And they also turned off the ability to see any reviews that are being posted to your business page. So as of this weekend, though, they are slowly turning that back on. So you can now reply to Google reviews that were left on your business page before if you haven't replied to them yet. So that you can do now. They lifted that this weekend, but you still cannot see any new reviews that have been posted because they are still there. They just haven't turned them on to make them visible to your business page yet. So that part is still in limbo, but you can at least reply to any past reviews now, which you should do. Any review, good or bad, it's a tool. So we can talk about that in another webinar, but that's where Google's at with Google reviews. And as far as ads, so ads, when it comes to Google Ads, what they are doing is you can still run Google Ads, but every once in a while, if you do a search, you might notice that there are no ads showing. And that's because they are short-staffed. They're turning it off. Sometimes it lasts a couple hours. Sometimes it lasts a couple of days. If you have ads running, you're not going to be charged for anything during this period because, you know, the ads are at the click. But they are getting them back on. It's also taking them longer to get to them. So once you create an ad and you post it, it is taking longer for those ads to be approved. So, but you still can post ads. So that's something to know that's happening with your ads right now. You can still post them, but it is taking time for them to be approved. And every once in a while they are being turned off. So now we're going to move on from ads to the Google My Business post, because this is something, here's a screenshot of our, of the business page for our Spanish Fork location. Now I circled right here where it says COVID-19. So normally when you do the post, and that's highlighted on the left, when you go into your business page and you do a post, you can post a picture. And that's something you want to do regularly. You should do it because it's free and it shows up on Google. So you want to make sure you're doing that for your business, number one. But right now, during the pandemic, all you can do is you cannot post pictures. The only thing you can do is a COVID-19 update. So that's the only type of post you're allowed to do. And you're only allowed up to so many words. So if basically 2 lines. So you can put comments in there, something in there about 2 lines, and that's about it. And you want to make sure you update it at least weekly. So Google Posts, they are not back yet, but you can update that, and that they're encouraging you to do this. So if you haven't done it, make sure you do a post. All you have to do is go to posts, and then there's a little box that pops up that you can click on it, and it'll let you create a new one, and you just enter the information in. But make sure you are doing it. But as for right now, those are the only posts allowed on the business page. So that is like, that's all the information I have right now. There will be other webinars that we're going to do that will give you a lot more information. We'll go more in depth into everything. But as you can see, all 3 of us are very, very passionate about what we do. We love social media. We know that it is a tool that you can use to grow your business and be successful at it. So if you have any questions, you are welcome to contact me. You can email me. My email is right there. Please go ahead and follow my business. I will follow you back. And now is the time that if you have any questions, go ahead. We will go through the questions. Nicole's going to start us off. We are going to go through the questions and answer. Let's see, we do have some time we can probably answer all of them. So Nicole, if you want to get started, let me unmute you for you. It's
Mute now. There we go.
There you go. Okay.
Okay. Oh, and really quick, on the Chamber's Facebook and Instagram, I did a post just talking about this webinar, and we just did a screenshot. If everyone wanted to go in there and comment, we just want to support each other. So if everyone wants to go in and comment their business, we can. It's a good way to follow each other and kind of see everyone that was watching today. So if you want to do that on Facebook and or Instagram, it's there for you. So let's go to the questions. So I'm assuming everyone's okay if I read it out loud because it was to everyone in the chat.
Yes.
But let's see. Okay, so regarding Instagram content, do you have any recommendations or thoughts on how to create enough content when you are the sole proprietor? One of the challenges I face is creating enough unique content in a week when I work as an individual on a contract basis. So we are actually going to have another webinar talking more about content because we couldn't hit like all Instagram and Facebook. Like we couldn't hit like a whole social media thing in like one. So
and I would say Angie, yeah, because Angie is a sole proprietor. Follow her account and watch what she's doing, because and Angie, it looks like you have a comment too, but watch what Angie's doing and how she's posting, because your entire life is a story that people want to see. But Angie, if you want to go ahead and chime in.
Okay, yeah. I couldn't see who did the comment. I don't know what's going on with my screen, but I mean, I would love to hear what your business is. I'm the sole proprietor of my business, and so I make it personal. It doesn't all have to be about your business. I mean, photography is not super interesting. It just be about you. Let people relate to you. If you're an insurance salesman or whatever it is, let people relate to you and brand who you are. People really want that connection. So like I said, I baked bread the other day and it got so much interaction. I mean, it's just something silly like that. So you can have a lot of interaction with if it's just you. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. And I would help you. So whoever that was, I can't see who it is. You can reach out to me. I can help you.
It's free. I'll send you her link.
Okay.
She does voiceover acting. So
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I follow her. Yeah. I follow her on a few pages. So
okay.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading questions. So you get to watch me. Thank you, Tommy, for watching with Yamaha Music School. Okay, so Bree has a question with hashtags on IG stories. I've heard the recommendation that you should use 10 to 11 hashtags per IG post. I imagine that would be too much to add on a story. How many hashtags do you use in a typical story? And do you make them obvious, or do you keep the hashtag small and blend it into the background?
Okay, so that is a very good question. 1 to 3 is what they recommend. More than that, it just gets lost. And I mean, it depends on what it is, but I usually make it smaller and just like drag it down to the bottom. So it's not like taking away from whatever's going on in my post. So yes, I would say 1 to 2. I wouldn't use more than that. But the recommendation is 1 to 3. So very good question for story.
And I believe you can use up to like 15 or 16, but you don't want to.
Yeah, not on a story.
Yeah. Okay, so, okay, I think Jesse asked this when Dawn was talking about the rules for Instagram and Facebook. So it says, where do you find those rules? Or a better way to ask the questions is how do you stay on top of those ever-changing rules? So I think he answered that, or she answered that saying, tell a friend instead of tag a friend, and people just kind of know, like the Chamber's doing a contest right now for local businesses, and we said, tell a friend or give a shout out to a local business, and so we kind of
worked around.
So
yeah, as far as the rules though, so what I told you about Facebook rules, those are actually listed in their FAQs. So I actually go to those and I read those at least monthly. Sometimes I do a little more frequently, like times like now where there's stuff going on, I will read them just to catch up. And I'm also part of groups in LinkedIn. So if you guys are members in LinkedIn, whatever your the role you play. There are groups out there you can join, and those groups usually have um, webinars and classes and training of things that are going on. And so I'm in a lot of marketing ones. And so I get a lot of information through there, as well as just going to the source and reading as much as much as I can, just to stay on top of it. So does that answer your question, Jesse? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what are two we don't do besides words about CV and quarantine? How do you ask to share? Oh, okay, so that's kind of the same thing. So tell a friend. Is there a way you can say share a post, but not say share a post, Dawn, that you know of?
Oh, and Angie had a comment real quick.
So
Oh.
I mean, this is something that I do that you could do. So I'll do a post and I want my engagement to be high. I want it to be shared and stuff like that. So I'll private message my closest friend circle, people that are in the business with me, and say, hey, can you go and comment or tag some friends you think would be interested? And so I go about it that way. I don't post it. Anyway, that's just one thing you can do. And don't be afraid to reach out. People want to help you. So just reach out. I'll just like private message my friend and be like, hey, I just posted this. Would you mind sharing it or commenting on it so it gets it higher in the algorithm? Stuff like that.
Perfect. And Angie's really good about sharing chamber events too, I've noticed. So I'll post something for chamber and she'll put it in her stories, add some cute things to it, and then share it. And then I'll usually on the chamber page share her story with that too. So, you know, tagging other people gets other people involved as well. So.
Great. Yes. And as far as like words that you can't use besides any version of coronavirus and quarantine, what are two we don't do besides? So I believe you're asking what other words. So general rule of thumb is to think of it as anything that basically the government or someone is trying to control the information that is going out to the public. So if there's any situation like that, those hashtags that identify it will be banned. So like there's a big oxycoding thing in 2018. This is actually what started it. What started these banned hashtags was the problems that were arising from that and all the new rules that were rolling out. And so they actually went and banned any hashtags to do with oxycoding and any other medication. So you actually can't use medication in hashtags because they want the information to be controlled. So I would say anything that's in the media that people are going to the media to try and find information, don't use hashtags for it. Find other ways to be creative, other words to drive it. Like you can say it in your content, but you can't use the hashtag. Does that make sense? So you can still talk about it, just don't use the hashtag. So hopefully that answers your question.
Let's see, do you think it's worth it to ask another local influencer to promote your content at a paid rate?
Okay, I'll chime in. I haven't paid anyone to work with an influencer yet, and I probably will at some point, but I have worked with local influencers, and where you can help them, they will help you. You know, like there's, I mean, she's not an influencer, but another business that sells bracelets. I talk about them all the time. I love them. I really, really do. And we have this relationship, and it's promoted her, it's promoted me, and you know, both ways. So if I know it's worth it to work with influencers. I haven't paid one yet, but I know people who have, and lots of people do it, and I think it is worth it. And you can do different ways. You can do commission, you can do, you know, all different ways.
Yeah, and most local influencers, is like they love trades. They love to get something for their time and for doing that for you. So, and that's why Angie hasn't had to pay for anything. They love to do that type of thing. And I would look at the number of followers they have, because if their followers are in the 100,000s, you'll probably have to pay. If it's not, if it's just in the thousands, then you probably won't have to pay, and you can do some kind of trade. So that's kind of usually the fine line. Angie, you had a comment?
And if they only have 1,500 followers or whatever, they still have a place for you. They might have a lot more engagement than somebody that has 10,000 followers. Maybe those 10,000 followers were bought, so they don't have a lot of engagement. Mm-hmm. But the person with 1,500 they have a lot of engagement, and those people, and they have a good relationship with their followers and they're trusted, then that's a good person to collaborate with, because their people trust them. So they're going to trust you because they trust you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. It's the engagement that matters, not so much the number of followers. Where the number of followers comes into play is usually whether or not they're going to require being paid to collaborate with.
Perfect.
So,
real quick, what is the email? So I have some people messaging us on Instagram, and I know it's on the slides, but maybe you could pull it up quicker than I can, Dawn. If they weren't able to watch this whole webinar, or they want to watch it again, what is the email they need to email? There we go. If everyone wants to write down or screenshot, just email the info@SpanishForkChamber.com, and then she will send you a link to this webinar if you missed it or want to watch it again, or send it to a friend, or however. So
yes.
Yeah.
And there's our Instagram handles. So if you guys have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to us. Those accounts go directly to us. We are the ones who manage them. So feel free to reach out, direct message us, whatever you need. We are more than willing to answer any questions you guys have. Let's see, did we cover all the questions?
Yes.
Does anyone have any other questions that they want to unmute themselves to ask?
Oh, Dawn, you're muted.
Sorry, this background noise being over repair shop. Next time I will not be in this room. I will not be over the repair shop. So does anyone else have a question? Tommy, you turned on your videos. You don't have a question? You're good? Okay.
Oh,
You see that comment?
Hi. So I'm a business out of South County, and I'd be willing, if anybody wants to like help each other on Instagram, I'd be ready and willing to help you guys. Maybe we could put our information in the chat, and anybody that wants to help each other, we can grab it from there.
perfect. Okay, that's why on Instagram and Facebook, I did the post. Just barely. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. It's just this one. If you can see it, I can't see myself on the thing. But if you wanted to comment your business on Facebook or Instagram, that way we can all check it out and then follow each other. Does that kind of help everyone find? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I did it on Facebook, on Instagram, on the Spanish Fork Chamber account.
Yes.
So if you wanted to comment on that, post your business page, we can all check it out and follow each other.
Yeah, we would love to support all of you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it looks like that's it, and perfect timing because we have 1 minute left. So, but thank you everyone. Thank you for coming. We do have the next webinar is going to be, if you guys have ever thought about starting a podcast, this is Podcasting 101, and Randy Kaufman, I believe she's on here. Yep, she's still here. She will be the main presenter on this webinar. So it will be awesome. She's done a lot of trial and error, and she's making the mistakes for us so that we can learn through what she's doing. So it'll be great. So stay tuned and watch for that email from the chamber. But thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all the comments. It was great to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Heather, as everyone's like jumping off, I've been trying to chase your picture to unmute you.
Yeah, so it looks like we have about 8 people left. You can probably stop the recording.